Hey everyone, this video is meant for my homeroom, but if you're in Miss Geary or Miss Adderley's homeroom, you're more than welcome to listen along. In my homeroom, for homeroom time, we left off, we were reading Crash. I was reading Crash. We are about halfway through it, so you might want to try and think about the story up to here. I'm going to summarize a little bit, so if you're in another homeroom, it might be a little confusing, but it's a pretty good book. If you remember, Crash is our main character, and Crash can be a bit of a bully sometimes. He can be a bit of a jerk, uh, and we were kind of experiencing his childhood with Penn Webb, who moved into the neighborhood, who is not like Crash at all. Crash doesn't know what to make of Penn Webb. He's just too strange for him, and Crash kind of doesn't want to be friends with him very much. He kind of bullies him for a while and gets over it. He also meets Mike DeLuca, who becomes his friend right away. Fast forward, where Crash is in the 7th grade. He's trying out for the football team with Mike DeLuca, and Penn Webb is going to be a cheerleader. He's going to be a male cheerleader. Crash has a sister named Abby. She is kind of up to some stuff in the backyard. She's also a little strange, at least according to Crash. Crash is also kind of interested in a girl in his grade, Jane Forbes, and he kind of makes a bozo out of himself trying to talk to her. So we are on chapter 14, September 13th. First day of practice. I couldn't wait to put the pads on, but first we had business with Webb. Yesterday, Mike said to me, "Do you believe we had been in school this long and we didn't do anything to him yet?" I nodded. "It's unbelievable. It's a disgrace. We gotta do something before he starts thinking he's safe. Tomorrow?" All last year, we tormented Webb. Mostly little stuff, like messing with his locker, or his clothes, or his books, like something would be missing, then mysteriously show up the next day or week. Or we would wonder why everybody was pinching him until he discovered a pinch me sign on the back of his shirt. He's so dumb. He never figures out who's doing it. He never gets mad at us. In fact, he never gets mad at anybody. Day after day, he's his chirpy, chippy, perky self. What a moron. So, we thought about it yesterday and did it today in last period geography. Mike brought the mustard in one of those squeeze dispensers. He slipped it to me before class, and I had the seat behind Webb. Mike went to work as soon as Webb came in. Today's button read "Hug a Tree." "How you doing, Spider?" "What's up, dude?" Giving him a dipsy doodle handshake, loosening him up. That's how we wanted him, loose and relaxed. Because this year, we noticed he has a new routine. Lots of time, right in class, he makes himself at home and pries off his shoes. We didn't have to wait long. About 10 minutes into class, off comes the right shoe. Mike nods. He looked out, he took out the mustard, shaked it, and leaned down and gave it a good long squirt right into that baby. Before I had a chance to straighten up, off comes the other supermarket beauty. Squirt, squirt, like it was a foot-long hot dog. From then on, every other minute, I would duck down, squirt, squirt. In between my duties, I noticed that today's subject was erosion. I even heard the teacher mention the wind in North Dakota. I kept squirting until the spout blew yellow bubbles. Then I unscrewed the top, reached in with the eraser end of my pencil and scooped out the rest of the mustard, and painted the sneaker tongues and laces. The class was ending. We watched Webb's white socks start feeling for the sneakers. They found them. They started to slip in. They stopped. The bell rang. We barely made it out of the door before we cracked up. We went down the hallways and waited for him to come out. He was the last one. He just came out and walked up in the hall like nothing had ever happened, except his socks were now yellow and the supermarket beauties were in his hands. If laughing was hazardous to your health, I'd be in intensive care right now. Chapter 15. I love the way I look in shoulder pads. I mean, I'm big to start with, but when I put on those things, it's like I'm as white as a bus. DeLuca caught me looking in the locker room mirror. Keep looking, man. You're still ugly. I ain't ugly. I'm scary. I'm scaring myself, I shrugged. My shoulders moved like small mountains. That's what I'm saying. You're so ugly, you're scary. You're going to score a touchdown every time you get the ball because nobody is going to want to touch you. At least I don't smell like you, I said. Other teams get a whiff of you, and they'll faint, and will win by forfeit. You're so ugly. When you were born, the doctor smacked your face instead of your butt. Yeah? Yeah. By now, we were walking across the parking lot to the football field. We had our helmets on. I shoved him. He shoved me. I punched him. He punched me. Yeah? Yeah. We plowed into each other, colliding shoulder pads. We butted helmets like bighorn sheep. We grunted. We growled. We weren't really mad at each other. It was all just part of the football. Football, you see, is a violent and emotional game. The more charged up you are, the better you play. It had been almost a year since we popped somebody. We kept smashing pads and butting helmets. We were ready to kill each other. And then along came Schultz. He walked right between Mike and me, pushing us apart with his hands, saying, "Excuse me, girls." I was on him like cheese on pizza. We went to the ground. We threw some punches, but all we got were some knuckles from bouncing off of his helmet. It was like fighting a clam. Then the coaches pulled us apart, and they were laughing. The line coach said, "I'd hate to be Hillside East having to face you terrors." Coach Latner said, "Guess we better get started while somebody's still alive," and he blew the whistle. "Football team, 4 laps, go." Football season was officially started. I ran alongside Mike. As we jogged around near the school, the cheerleaders were coming out. There were a ton of them. Nobody had been cut yet. 2 of them were at the water fountain outside the gym. Webb and Jane Forms. She was helping him wash out his sneakers. On the way home, we talked about it. "I couldn't believe it," I said. "Looks like she likes him," said Mike. I screeched, "Likes him? You're crazy. No girl would like that oat burger." Mike grinned. "You're just jealous because you like her." I laughed. "Me? You're crazier than crazy. Why would I like her?" I laughed some more. As usual, we ordered pizza from my house. My mother told me that from now on I had to ask Abby if she wanted pizza too. As usual, she was in the backyard, and she wanted some. I ordered 2 mediums to cover the 3 of us, both with pepperoni. When they came, Abby took 3 slices and started picking off the pepperonis. "What are you doing?" I asked. She was stacking up the pepperonis like quarters on a plate. "I'm a vegetarian." "Since when?" Mike sneered. "Since you started hanging out with that little Miss Webb." She looked at me all snooty. "I do not devour anything that has a face." "She's even starting to sound like him," Mike blubbered up with his mouth full. "She's getting weirder by the minute." "I never saw a pepperoni with a face," I said. "What do you think? There's little herds of them running around a ranch?" "No," said Mike. "They're not ranch animals. They're wild. You have to go hunting for them in the woods." I jumped in. "But only during pepperoni hunting season. Right? Or else you're a pepperoni poacher." We cracked up. Mike made like a rifleman. "You gotta get him with the first shot." "Right," I howled, "because there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded bull pepperoni." Bang went Mike. By now we were rolling on the floor. Abby glared down at us. "And after we shoot the wild pepperoni," I sputtered, "we eat it." And I reached up to my sister's plate and grabbed a stack of pepperoni slices and shoved them into my mouth, like this. Abby got up. "You're disgusting," and she took her plate outside. A couple of minutes later, we were eating our pizza in peace when Mike suddenly looks past me and says, "What's that?" "What?" I said. He pointed. I saw something move, like go behind the refrigerator. I looked. Probably a bug. I just hoped it wasn't a roach. We went back to eating. 10 seconds later, Mike jumps right out of his seat. "Yo!" I whirled around and saw nothing. "It ain't no bug, man, unless it's a King Kong bug." All of a sudden, I wasn't hungry, and I felt a little cold. "Where'd it go?" I said. "There." He was pointing to the corner of the kitchen. "The wastebasket." "Yeah, behind it. I think it's under it. I'll tell you one thing, man." "What?" My voice wasn't working right. "It's fast." I pulled my feet up to the rung of my chair. Mike grabbed the broom, and he stalked over toward the wastebasket, holding the broom handle out like it was a sword. "What are you going to do?" I said. "I'm going to flush him out." "You sure you want to do that?" "Yeah," we were whispering. He poked the basket. Nothing happened except me scrunching up a little tighter. He poked again. Nothing. "I think it's gone," he said. He went on poking, and then, with the tip of the broom handle, he shoved the basket away, and out it came. He was right. It was fast, a gray blur across the kitchen floor. And then I was looking down at Abby, way down. Why was she so short? And she was looking straight up at me, her eyes wide, panting, saying, "What happened? Huh? What are you screaming about? Who's screaming? And what are you doing up there? If Mommy knew you were on the kitchen table." I looked at my feet. She was right. I was standing on the kitchen table. How could that be? I heard Mike's voice. "A mouse!" Abby clapped. "Wow, where?" "Mouse my butt," I said. "That was a rat." And I lowered myself to a seat on the edge of the table. My feet stayed off the floor. Mike held his fingers a couple inches apart. "It was a mouse." Abby sneered. "My big, brave brother, Crash Coogan, is afraid of mice." I could have killed her. "Not afraid. I just don't like them. I just don't like them. There's a difference." Nobody was listening. Abby was all over Mike. "So, come on, where'd it go?" Mike nodded toward the dining room. "In there." Abby was through the doorway, quicker than the rodent. And I'll pause there for now.